Good evening, Mr. Reel.
How are you, RFM? Life treating you good?
Oh, yeah, real good. Thank
Good.
you very much. I'm very, very happy this Friday evening. More happy than usual on a Friday evening.
Why is that?
It's because I just did something today that I don't know how long it's been since I did it. It was a crazy thing. So I come into the studio slash office slash underground bunker this morning, right? And what I had planned to do was to record an episode, but there was something going on to where that wasn't going to work. So instead, I've had this idea tinkling around in my head
Yep.
for a long time. And I had a little extra time and I thought, well, I have no idea how to do this, but I understand you can ask Google and Google will tell you sometimes. And so what I ended up doing, I created a video. It's 4 minutes long and it's really, I think it's very funny. Oh, this is it right here. It's one of these Hitler rant videos. There are those out there who know what I'm talking about, maybe those who don't. It's a huge fad. I mean, there's probably millions of these Hitler rant videos by now, if not millions, a lot. And all you do is you take the scene from a movie. I don't even know what the movie was, but it has Hitler in it, right? And it's a scene where he's getting some bad news. He gets upset. And it's like a 4-minute scene, right? But what they've done is they have made it so that you can put in your own subtitles. They're speaking German, right? They're speaking German. They're not speaking English with British accents. They're speaking German. And so you have to have the subtitles. And there were subtitles, I'm sure, in the original movie released in, English speaking places. But oh my gosh, I just got on a roll and I
No.
had the best time
Okay.
and I've been euphoric. It was actually, if this were church, I would have been inspired by the Holy Ghost in what I was doing because it was coming to me and I'm loving it. I'm working it out, but still it's coming to me and things are happening. And then I realized, Bill, that this is the first time in I don't know how long that I've done something creative.
Mm.
And when that thought came to me within the past hour, by the way, when that thought came to me, I thought, what are you talking about? You're creating podcasts all the time and ideas and this and that. And I stopped myself and I said, yeah, that's one form of being creative. But what you're doing is you're organizing information. It's research, it's organization, it's management. It's not being creative, like being able to come up with lines that another character is saying in the story. Other people do that. What we try and do is stick to the way it's actually written in the history books and not put words in the mouths of dead people who can't speak for themselves. So, but here I could because it's supposed to be funny. And it ended up, I think it's great. And the great news is that we can't premiere it here, and I apologize for that. But at 9:30 Mountain Time, right? This show's going to get over right before 9:30. So hour and a half show. And then if you go where, do you have a link to it, Bill?
Yeah, in fact, if folks would refresh their YouTube video and go into the YouTube synopsis for the video, you'll see that there's a link there to RFM's video. It says something about Hitler learns that polygamy is real. And click the link. It'll take you to this. The moment Hitler learned that Joseph Smith actually practiced polygamy. I watched it today. I watched it twice, actually.
Really?
And I did. And there are just moments where the body language on them and the thing you have them saying is so when some people stay and some people go, that it was so good. So I really enjoyed it. So it's not only in the synopsis, by the way, it is now in the comments. I'll put it up on the screen, folks. And then also in the actual show itself, I'm going to go down to the comments and I'll put it there as soon as I get done saying this and turn it back over to RFM. But phenomenal job. I laughed a bunch watching it. So it was really good.
Well, I was tickled with it. Like I said, 10 years ago, I'd be saying it was the Holy Ghost. Now I say it's my muse. My muse is working overtime, which is just saying the same thing in a different way, which is it seems sometimes that things are coming to me such that they can't be coming from me. They must be
Yeah.
coming from inside of me, right?
Yeah, your wittiness in putting those together, uh, super creative, and I've done that too, where I've gone back and, like, watched or listened to something that was done much earlier to sort of research for a new episode or whatever, and I'll catch myself saying something, and I'm like, "That's not me, that somebody else said that thing, that was, uh, sort of, insightful or whatever." So, creativity, I think, can show up sort of that way, but it feels sort of magical, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
And it has been so long. I mean, my word, I have no idea when it was. I last did something creative in that way,
Mm.
a creative writing way.
Yeah, that's
But
really
anyway, enough about me, Bill. Tell me what you think of me.
well, no, I think you're smart and amazing. So I have a lot of we've said this so many times on this show, and we'll say it a bunch more, but I have so much fun in this relationship with you because it's fun to be in a space with another creative person who thinks about things and very different. You're very different creative. And you've got so many more facets to your creativity, whether it's sort of your memory about beautiful things in the arts, or whether it's your appreciation for some of the arts as well, and your ability to sort of think through things in ways that most people go like, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's the light bulb moment. RFM had this really cool idea. So,
Oh, thank you.
yep,
You know, I was talking to Jim Bennett last night, and
awesome.
I was telling him, I'm not going to say what he told me. I'll just tell you what I told him because it sort of came up. I
Okay,
said, you know, if this church is going to be saved, it can only be saved through the arts.
it can
I
only be
don't think it's going to happen, but that's the only play the church has. And of course, the brethren will never let it happen.
no. Um, yeah, that in fact, the religion has a lot of tendencies towards animosity against the arts, whether it's LGBT people, which tend, because of sort of being marginalized, are much more a creative segment of our population. Um, whether it's the so-called intellectuals in the church, that also seems like you're picking on the thinkers, the philosophers among us. Um, yeah, and of course, yeah, that's sort of the take Mormonism has. It really wants conservative, loyal, obedient, like things the way they are. We don't want to disrupt things. That's the sort of mentality that thrives. Not that there aren't other kinds.
Yeah, can I bring up this Shakespeare quote that is
Please.
so apropos here, I think, because honestly, the businessmen that get promoted to the leadership positions, with few exceptions, I think have nothing of the arts about them. They're very numbers and letters and very logical, very business oriented. I'm not trying to judge them, but I'm just saying that's the impression I get. And
Yeah.
it makes me think of this quote from the Merchant of Venice, which I'll abbreviate here. The man that hath no music in himself is fit for treasons, stratagems, and spoils.
Mm,
And yeah, I edited out a clause
mm.
there, but just to make it a little more direct. Yeah. So that's when I hear those words from Shakespeare, I hear truth and it resonates with me in the deepest parts of my being.
Yeah, I this is one that's been on my mind lately, sort of along the same lines. Not Shakespeare by any means, but Albert Einstein, no lackey, you know. Unthinking unthinking respect for authority. Unthinking respect for authority is the greatest enemy of truth. Don't believe everything they tell you. Whatever side you're on, whatever place you are, don't believe everything they tell you. Systems are always people in authority are almost always, and systems are always manipulating to some degree.
And I think if Joseph Smith ever produced scripture, it was that passage at the end of section 121, isn't it?
Mm, go ahead.
Unrighteous dominion.
Yeah.
As soon as a man
Yes.
gets a little authority, as he suppose he begins to exercise unrighteous dominion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a moment. You know, Joseph gets these things right. That's one of them. Unfortunately, he didn't seem to notice that he was also talking about himself on dozens of occasions.
Yeah, isn't that always the way?
Yeah. Hmm. So anyway, that is it. Let me put the number up on the bottom, and then I want to put the thumbnail for last night's episode up on the screen and get your thoughts. So it's going to take me.
Go ahead. And I'll just say that reminds me of another quote. Greenleaf Whittier said, "Search thyself for what troubleth thee the most in others, may in thine own heart be."
Yeah.
So this idea has been around for a long time. I think a recognition and insight into human nature that a lot of times what pisses us off about somebody else is the
Mm.
same damn thing we do ourselves.
Yeah, it's our trait. It's the thing we do for sure. The number tonight, 662, same number as always, 667-6667. We'd love if folks wanted to begin to call in. I just need to open back up the call studio because I did when I lost you before the show. I disappeared for a moment as we were sort of prepping before the show started. And it's because I accidentally closed out the screen, and now I need to do it again.
Well, let me also say then
Yeah.
about this week that we had an absolutely incredible show on Wednesday
Mm.
with our guest, Kate. It was Child. It used to be, and now what is it? McCary?
Oh, let me.
I remember the Kate part. Anyway, we'll find the name.
Kate Lynn. I know her middle name was Lynn.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I just know
McNary.
Poetic Kate, so I've got it. I just remembered the handle.
Yeah,
That's
we remember everything but that, okay, folks? So
Sorry,
anyway,
Kate.
take my word for it.
Twitter
It was
curve.
an incredible show. It ended up being 3 hours. It's going over 2 hours, and it's going so well that Bill is texting me or messaging me excitedly in the private chat here. You know,
Yeah.
it's going long, but this is great. This is fantastic. We'll keep
Yeah.
it going. And absolutely, we did. It was an amazing evening, and it has had an amazing response. It's up, what is it at? 34,000 views?
Yeah, I can look really quick to see. But yeah, all through the evening, it was up to 28 or 29 by the nighttime or so. Maybe a touch less than that. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. 19,000 nighttime. Then it went up a bunch today. So I'm looking at it now, and it says 35,319.
Okay, so it's over
Those are
35,000 now. It was
views.
34,000 last time I looked at it.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the thing. This is really impacting a lot of people, and rightfully so. I
Mm.
want to say one thing about it tonight, but I think there's probably going to be a lot of people who are impacted by that, who didn't have a chance to call in, be one of the 3 people at the end of the show when we were already about 2 hours and 40 minutes into it. So if I would like that to be the theme of tonight's show. If everybody else agrees, you can always call in to talk about whatever you want, but I want to make a special point. While this is fresh in everybody's minds and we're still moved by it, to give you a chance to call in, share what it is you think about it, what impacted you, what thoughts you had. And here's the thing I thought, okay, Bill?
Mm.
The single most important part of the entire interview to me, and this is once again evidence-wise, right?
Yeah.
Is her firsthand testimony, not speculation, not something she heard from somebody else. Her firsthand testimony that she was asked by her manager to take that picture from your Facebook page of Jeffrey Holland with liar stamped on it and forward it to your stake president, Bill, which she was going to do. And then he made a point, of course, of saying, no, I want you to do it in color because I want that red to stand out and I want that stake president to see how rotten Bill really is. And she sent it. That's it. Case over. Because the issue, as far as I'm concerned, is and has been the issue the church has created of saying that when local disciplinary things happen, they have nothing to do with it. They just got caught lying. And I thought that was incredible and only made more rich by the fact that it involved you, Mr. Real.
And it's not the only time in the show that there's a lie that happens. There are other deceptions. I'm trying to remember offhand, but there are other deceptions where, sending the guy away when the bishop calls and she can't quite answer the question. Like, you're not allowed to be transparent with me so that I can make the most informed decision that's fully consensual, informed consent on my side. And people behind the scenes, in order to protect the information and to protect the conversation, misdirect, and she experienced it firsthand. Um, yeah, I mean, the other things we accentuated it with, phenomenal too. Uh, you had experience with the SCMC. I've had experience uh, with Eddie from law enforcement, which you did too, and yeah, and the conversation about these things, so that try to figure out sort of what they do, how they go about what they do. And I think people learned last night just tons of machinations that the church goes through to protect information.
Wow, machinations, Bill.
Yeah. All right. So, episode was great. 3 hours long. A really good opportunity, I think, for people to sort of learn what are the behind the scenes activities of the SCMC.
By the way, I wasn't mocking you. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. Once in a while. Um. Yeah. So, this is one that obviously is getting traction beyond folks uh, who are the normal audience, which is somewhere between, for a Good Mormonism Live episode, 10 to 15,000. So this is really
Absolutely. Cray is saying shit. I've been pronouncing that wrong. Yeah, a lot of people do. It is a hard C sound, even though it's spelled M-A-C-H. A lot of people say machination, but I believe it's
machination.
actually machinations, like Bill said it.
Oh, gotcha. Well, cool. I like when I get one right,
And you
plausible
used it
deniability.
properly in a sentence.
Yeah, look at
You're
that.
hitting on all cylinders tonight, Mr. Real.
Nice. All right. So, folks, the phone lines are open 662-6667, 662-667-6667. And then I'll also put the link in invite, a copy. So I put the link over into the private chat. By all means, please reach out. And all right. So, would love to talk to folks. I was trying to think too. I was going to share with you one of the upcoming episodes that I've thought about sort of doing an episode on here at Mormonism Live, something, to research with you and sort of share with the audience this information is, well, no, this is something different. So let me say this too. This is another thing. They're very similar looking, and you'll see why.
I'm completely confused at this point.
That's okay. There are folks out there on the believing side of Mormonism who are making accusations to you and me that we get funding from USAID. Okay. This whole political thing going on. I don't care what side you're on. Don't care. But USAID, we've been accused of getting funds from them because you can go onto the website, you can type in a nonprofit, and you can look at, what they get and whether they're in the line from the payees and far enough back. It's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You're tied to USAID by 4 entities ago. The money's been passed around from one group to the other.
It sounds like laundering, but I'm sure it's not that.
Something sort of like that, right? So we end up getting ours from like Network for Good, which, by the way, is like I think it's the payment system for Facebook donations. So when somebody goes onto Facebook and makes a donation, and you can go back and look at the fundraisers that Mormon Discussion has had, and they've never raised very much, maybe a few thousand on one of them, correct? And so these are I know, gotcha, but the Network for Good makes the payouts for Facebook donation. And so you'll see on this graph, I'll show you the other one too here, and you'll see why I was thinking the other.
Are they adding anything to it?
No. So here's Mormon Discussion. Okay.
So how much good is that?
Gross receipts, contributions, grants given, taxpayer funds, down at the very bottom. All right. The very bottom on the far right, you see where it says no taxpayer funds, and ours is bold. See the bold there? 0. So folks have had this really silly thing where they think that we get money from USA because if you go back to the graph, the companies that do have red flags that perhaps that's the case, that fall into the thing that the Doge folks are alleging to be finding, are the ones that are in red. Those are where taxpayer funds went. And so it's just a strange thing. So I'm going to respond to it here just so there is an explanation for that. And I'm never going to hide behind things. We post our financials on the website. Folks are welcome to go through them. People out there by the way, something we talked about before, there's a guy out there who criticizes Mormon stories and Mormon discussion, namely, and he goes into the financials of it. He talks about the podcast, and I'm proud of the way that we run our company and of the work that we do. And I think we're completely providing a service for people and put a lot of time and energy to it and passionate about it and do it in a way that people benefit strongly from, that they wake up from within the inside of a high demand religion and begin to make informed choices within or outside of it. And I think that's a pretty damn good work to spend your life doing. So anyway, no
And
USA.
I will tell you, and sometimes, can I flip these? Can I do this?
Yeah,
I
please.
just feel more comfortable on the side of the bed.
Okay.
So sometimes it's just like Wednesday night, the stars just aligned for that show. If you want to know what's going on behind the scenes, I had, of course, talked with Kate on Sunday. It was for an hour, 20 minutes or something. Immediately getting a sense for this person as being very competent, very capable, and then following up, we had some emails back and forth, etc. And she shared some pictures and some other things that she wanted us to show on the show. And but then I talked to her again the night before, and it's just like everything came together. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. All 3 hours. I mean, again, you mentioned it. I messaged you guys 2 hours in basically and said, "Do not stop this. I am having a hell of a good time tonight, having this conversation," because I think in a way that hadn't been done before, multiple behaviors of the Strengthening Church Members Committee, and the way the church acts behind the scenes was laid out in a way that hadn't been done. And I thought it was just, and it's obviously having that effect on people who are watching it in mass.
Yes, in sacrament meeting too.
Yeah.
So anyway, hey, Theodis Whoopi says this. Oops, he says Colch. No, wait. Sometimes they jump up and down as new ones come in over here on the side.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your service. Damn fine work, boys. Thank you, Theodis Whoopi. So anyway, all I'm saying is everything came together, and it was it happens sometimes, right? And the experience is one that it's like I'm in the body and out of the body. I can't tell. I'm in the show and I'm outside the show viewing the show like a spectator.
Yeah.
And trying to look at this and going, oh my gosh, this is great TV. And also thinking this is such an important subject, and it's just rolling. And the experience for me is like, it's like I'm riding the lightning, and it's amazing. And it's almost like I don't dare breathe because I don't want to fall off. I don't want to do anything to disrupt it. And if you'll notice something about that show, I certainly said my share, okay? But I think if you clock the words on that show per hour or per minute, you'll find that I didn't say that much in the show. And the only person, because Kate was very capable of taking it from step to step to step and explaining and relating all the things we talked about. It was amazing. I think the only person who's done better than Kate was Peter Bleakley. And Peter Bleakley, all you have to do is put a quarter in him, and he will go and go and go and go. When I had him on the show, I think it was one of the first podcasts. I discovered Peter Bleakley. I kid. I kid because I love Peter. So anyway, but he was on the show, and it was fascinating. But honestly, I was not necessary in that show because there was nothing that I needed to ask. He would go from point to point, and he was his own self-propelled missile. So what I made a point of was every 5 or 7 minutes, I would interrupt just to ask a question so people wouldn't forget it was my show. That was Peter Bleakley, but a close second to that was Kate last Wednesday. Did you notice that, Bill?
Yeah, she did a great job carrying the conversation and knowing where she wanted to go, and it was great. And you know, you have to know these moments to sort of to do that. It still makes the sound quality on the end sort of, it breaks up the pattern. So there's also sort of a professionalism to picking those moments. And I thought the conversation was phenomenal. Again, I hope you watched it. If you didn't, I'd highly suggest going back and watching it. And I highly suggest sharing it with people that you care about, who you want them to sort of know just a little more about what's going on the inside. Help them by giving them information. And I think Kate comes across very graceful to the church. Oh, I can't hear you, RFM. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Me too.
Yeah.
She really, really did. She came across as so graceful. And this is one of those times when it's like when you're a defense attorney and you've got a client that's actually sorry and you don't have to tell them to act sorry. Okay, the thing is this is that that's sentencing, of course. So, but she was graceful. We didn't plan this or anything. It wasn't like, okay, I want you to act this way or anything. It was just unfolding so beautifully. And that's where it's like, I know I'm involved in this. And I'm also seeing this as a spectator and how nice she is to the church. She has nice things to say about the church. And I'm loving that because she is quite naturally and effectively cloaking herself with credibility because she will say nice things about the church.
Yeah.
And she will even go out of her way to say nice things about the church, was my impression about her, which made her criticisms of the church that much more powerful.
And it's obvious from her project and other things that she said that she's done the work to claim her own voice, and so she doesn't really apologize for whether she's for or against. She just tells you her truth, and a hell of a lot of respect to people who just say their truth.
Yes.
Yeah. So great episode, folks. Please check it out. And
I especially appreciate it when people's truth aligns with the truth.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
right.
my. So what is this now? This looks like another fascinating graph you have for us.
Yeah, the first one was sort of like a family tree. This sort of looks like a family tree. That's why I got mixed up at the beginning. This is all the factions of Mormonism. And I thought it'd be a fun episode if we went through all the breakoff groups.
Okay. It's very small. Are they camping down by the tracks?
They are, some of them are extinct, but there are way more breakoff groups than I ever thought there was.
That's a lot more than I would have thought right there.
And
what's on the left?
Yeah.
Oh, left is 1825. So it goes right. So, okay.
Yeah.
Left to right.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be able to zoom in on it right here, but we'll spend time doing this here sometime in the next few weeks. But what I wanted to note was the restoration was intended to get rid of all the false creeds. I'm just telling you how shitty of a job this God guy is. Mormon God, that is. And he comes back like, okay, there's all these Christian sects. Catholicism F's everything up. They split up into a bunch, the Pentecostals and the Baptists and the Methodists. And their creeds are all an abomination before me because that's God telling.
Once they couldn't kill him anymore for leaving the church.
So you have the great apostasy, which isn't very great anymore, but you still got to have it. Otherwise, there's no restoration. So it still has to be the great apostasy. Even
I want to make the apostasy great again.
And then Joseph Smith comes along and he's going to fix the whole problem,
I know he's going to restore it.
And then he dies and they all fuck it up again. Look at it.
I know. I mean, this does happen every time. It's not like it should be a surprise to anybody, right? Who has any knowledge of religious history. This always happens. You see, in the first few years, Mormonism was okay. But what ended up happening is that Mormons fucked up a perfectly good religion.
And remember, Joseph Smith said, I've done more, save Jesus only, right? For the redemption of mankind. But then Jesus also took top honors and said, I have done better than Jesus in keeping the church together.
Oh, right. Yeah.
No, you both died and then it split up. That's
yes. Well, yeah. Point taken. A touch, I do confess.
Mormonism. Fooling people. Like you just go, I'm not going to think about that.
You kind of ignore them, except for those reorganites. They're always getting in your face with their peaceful
they were the second largest faction.
Yeah, who did they think they were? Not thinking that the temple was necessary.
The Strangites don't have a prophet. They feel like it has to come by revelation.
Or a
And
forged
they
letter. That's always good. I can get one of those. Maybe I could be their prophet.
Oh, boy.
That's a bit of an inside joke. Could you explain that?
Well, I thought if you're saying Ford, you're talking Thomas Ford and the
No,
extermination.
a forged letter,
A forged letter.
which is
I
where
thought a
William Strain
forged
got
letter,
his
Thomas
authority from in
Ford
the
got
first
to
place,
exterminate.
with a forged letter claiming to be from Joseph Smith, written before he
Yeah.
died, and giving the power of the church over to William Strang. Only it turned out that upon much later and subsequent, right, examination, it wasn't Joseph Smith's signature at all. Big
Yeah.
surprise.
Going to Beaver Island.
So you were talking about the Strangites, and I said, yeah, that they have to find somebody who has it by revelation. I said, or a forged letter.
Oh, okay.
You know, a
I
joke
thought
only gets funnier when you have to explain it.
I love it, but I thought you said Ford letter. I thought Thomas Ford, and then there was, right,
There's a Thomas Ford.
yeah,
He was the
and
governor of Illinois.
and I
How
was
many
thinking of
people other than Mormons even know that?
yeah. So I was thinking of the extermination letter, and the Strangites ran away and went to Beaver Island, and the Mormons ran away and left Nauvoo.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, there's that. Okay, phone calls, my friend.
Do we have phone calls?
We do. We've
I really
got.
hope we do.
Let's see how this goes. Let me make sure I've got sound. Caller, you're on the line. What's the name?
This is Kim.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Awesome. Glad to
How
hear
about
from
both
you.
of you? You're looking fine.
Yeah, thank you.
You're looking
Thanks,
fine
Kim.
and dapper this evening.
My girlfriend
Missing.
picked out the outfit tonight, so this is her choice. She went all black, with a little chain that I own to sort of give it some pop. So,
I
and
guess your
RFM
girlfriend's
is,
a Kwaku fan, huh, Bill?
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I was going for Paul Schaefer from the David Letterman band, but
Oh.
you know, Quakers rock this. Quakus rock this look as well. And
Kwakus rock that look?
Quakus
Yeah.
rock this look as well. I don't think as good as me, but he's rocked this look as well.
Wouldn't it be
And,
funny if
looks
Kwaku
great.
converted to being a Quaker?
I said Quaker first because I sort of mixed up our conversation about the RLDS,
Hmm?
the split offs, and it got me thinking. And then you said I was going to say Quaku, but
You'd
yes,
be Quaker Kwaku.
Well,
Yeah,
So, Kim,
mixing up the accessories, and
Kim,
mixing up the jackets.
yeah.
You
this is
know.
what happens when you compliment
Anyway.
Bill. Me, I just say thank you, and we go on with the conversation. Bill takes it crazy places.
Well, I was glad RFM brought his prop out because I was missing that.
This one?
You know, the one the one that looks like a fake cigarette.
Yeah, but it's real.
That one. Yes, that
Oh,
one.
no.
So
Anyway.
it's a real cigarette that looks like a fake cigarette.
Yes.
That's
Mhm.
tough to do when you're
Exactly.
twisting like this.
Keep everybody guessing. Well, I just want to reassure everybody in the live chat that I'm not a nut job, nut bag. What's
Why do
the
you
other
feel so
term that
defensive
they're
about the
using?
issue,
But
Kim?
why am I defensive?
Yeah, about being a nut
Because
job.
I'm an apostate.
Are people calling you a
Yeah, I
nut
don't want
job
to be
in the live
rude.
chat?
No. I think it was Trevor who said, "Oh, the callers are
Oh yeah, Trevor.
the calling lines are
defending the church.
open. Let's hope we don't have any nut jobs."
Oh,
Oh,
Well,
okay, but nobody was calling you
No.
personally a nut job.
No, God,
Okay, because
thank
we'd
God.
have to get rid of them toot
I'd
sweet.
crawl away. Well,
We
it
run
sounds
a
like it
clean
was a good
chat.
show last night. Yes, I noticed.
yeah. It
Yeah,
was,
it sounds like I
that's
missed a
good
good
one.
show last night.
And it was actually on
I was
Wednesday.
listening to. Oh, Wednesday.
Yes,
When
that's
was
when
I-
Mormonism Live is, every
When did I
Wednesday.
catch all of these? I think I did then. I must have. It's just everything's running together for me right now.
Watching us is a full-time job, I think. You know, we're putting
Right?
out the show on Friday, the
No,
show on Wednesday, Monday night. I think it's hard to keep up, but I think
Yeah.
last night's monumental.
Well, yes, and I need to write it all down.
We can do that
yeah,
for you right
last
now.
night I was
By the way,
to-
you should get hazard pay.
You
Kim,
write
do
it
you
all
have
down?
do you have a pen and paper?
I do.
Okay, no time like the
I
present,
have
I
a
say.
pen and I have.
So
This is
Friday,
complicated, yes.
actually, if you want to put up on your calendar or wherever. So start with Monday, okay? Monday. You do have a capital M.
Yeah, I can spell Monday, sir.
No, I mean just for brevity's sake, because that underneath that is
Okay.
the Mormon newscast.
Yes.
And you live Mountain
Yeah.
Time, Kim?
No, Pacific.
Okay, I
You
can do
know,
that 'cause
West
that's where
Coast.
I am too.
West Coast.
So you're right under Mormon newscast, 5 o'clock p.m.
Okay, yeah.
Then Wednesday,
And
you
then
can just skip
Wednesday.
Tuesday. Nothing important happens on Tuesday. Wednesday,
I hope Rebecca's not in the chat.
she's at this big gig
Uh-oh.
they're
Wait,
throwing for
Rebecca.
Nemo. She doesn't have time for us. So Wednesday
Oh.
is
Mhm.
Mormonism live.
Put an L there.
Mhm.
That's it.
L
Yes.
for Wednesday for live.
Well, they're all live. And then 5:20 p.m. for that one.
All right.
Not 5 o'clock, but 5:20 p.m. on Wednesday.
Add
By
an
the way,
hour.
Don, I've been meaning to talk to you. Why
Okay.
don't we just make that 5 o'clock at some point?
Make it 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So I'm happy to do that, by the way. My one thought I had that doesn't bother me, but I would want to know if the audience has any concern,
Oh.
is to give people who get off work at 6 a chance to get home to their house to listen to it. But if folks will just put in the chat right now, obviously we'll get a really good feel, because you
yeah.
guys are the ones that watch it live.
I could do that. Yeah.
It would affect you guys, and we'd love to know it.
So, but
yeah.
right now, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I want to make sure that Kim gets this down. Wednesday, 5:20 p.m. This is Pacific time, everybody. Don't get confused. 5:20 p.m. Pacific for Mormonism Live.
Mm-hmm.
And Friday, which is today, Friday,
Yeah.
7 o'clock p.m.
And 7.
Mormonism After Dark.
Well, okay. Well, I was listening or watching Culch and Expo Joe last night.
I saw some of that
That was
too.
good fun.
What did you think?
Yeah, you were there. I liked it. He's got a soothing voice. I don't know.
Culch
It's interesting. Everything that they were saying was interesting. Of course, all of these shows to me are interesting, but you probably wonder, like, why did you call? You're probably wondering.
I was figuring you'd
Why did I
work your
call?
way around to it, Kim.
Yeah, we're just having a fun conversation.
Yeah.
We'll just walk down a few paths and see where we end up.
Okay. Well,
What are you thinking about?
I just thought I would. I'm going to tell you a story about how I got rapidly released from a Relief Society presidency.
Wow.
I'm telling you, they cut bait.
Rapidly released from a
I was
Relief
left
Society
alone.
presidency.
Yes, I've apparently committed quite the crime.
What happened?
And RFM. Well, I'll tell you, since RFM is in the law, works with the law, perhaps you can enlighten me as to why in the world they were so upset. But so picture it back late in the 90s, and Wednesday nights the ward we had homemaking meetings, and the excitement was almost too much. We had crafts, and we had more crafts, and sometimes cooking demonstrations. There was times when we got to see how to style little girls' hair. Just the fascination. It was all I could do. It really was all I could do.
I'm sensing a degree of
to remain
sarcasm here.
excited.
Is that right, Kim?
Is it dripping on my keyboard?
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that was homemaking meeting, and it was once a week. And the Relief Society president had been released after, many years of faithful service. And for some reason, known only to him, the bishop called, I'm going to call her Sister C. Now, Sister C and her family were like ward royalty. But most people, were kind of scared of them. They were just very fundamentalist, should I put, very entitled. Picture a woman who clutches her pearls, every time something goes right or wrong. she was very prickly. Now, we're not supposed to look at our sisters in Christ that way. So, everybody was, of course, very, respectful and kind. But when he calls her as the Relief Society president, but he doesn't call any counselors. And you've never seen so many Mormon women dive behind a pew so fast in your life.
Oh, so she was
I mean,
universally despised. Nobody liked her.
Universally. Yeah, but you can't say you didn't like her. I mean,
Apparently it's Cam Bam's sister.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, so everybody's ducking behind the pillars.
I mean, right. Nobody wants to be called. And you
Right.
can't turn down a calling, right? And all these sisters are like suddenly praying and sacrificing and fasting and saying, please don't call me.
You can't tell this
Please
thing
don't call me.
no. You can't tell this thing no. It tells you don't tell me
Right?
no.
Right? Well, they were praying that they could deflect that bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
I
need a
could,
counter
everyone was
at that
kind of talking and whispering. So she's all by herself for like the first couple Sundays. And I don't know.
What is it? Is nobody
They're
answering the
parking
phone?
on me or something.
Are no women answering the phone in the ward?
Apparently they're quite busy with their children, quite busy washing the car. I don't know. They
Week
were,
after week, this
So-
new Relief Society president, Sister
there was at
Christmas,
least two.
has to
Sister
sit if
C
there was
had
no
absolutely
counselors.
no counselors. And there weren't any for like 2 weeks. And I walked out of the meeting room and I don't know what possessed me. I made eye contact with her and I smiled because, I felt the spirit. But I didn't say anything. I just like nodded to her, and dear God, the bishop called me and I knew, I was like, shit, I had to go. Sorry, I said that on the air.
This is
I had
After
to go
Dark. You're
down, of
fine.
course, to the ward building. Okay. I had to go down to the stake center and meet with the bishop in his office. And sure enough, he was calling me to be Sister C's first counselor.
And what did you say?
Like, okay.
What?
Sister Kim, I feel very compelled. This is important that, Sister C is in the Relief Society presidency and it would be a blessing, blah, 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 blah.
What did you
But-
say?
Okay. I said, okay.
Are you out of
He's
your
the
mind?
bishop.
Are you crazy?
Absolutely.
Why would you say okay?
Yes.
The answer is
Because
because
it was
we're
the bishop.
Mormons.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Mormons just do what they're told to
He's
do.
got me. And he's got me, right? So,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
okay, I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going
It's
to
like
make
the
the
only
best
thing
of
you can
this.
do to avoid this is not make the appointment, because after that, you're going to have to accept.
Right.
You have no free will in the matter.
Well, I know this now. So anyway, the next couple of weeks are uneventful. I'm able to, I think I did a lesson for a homemaking meeting. I did this whole spiel for the sisters about how important it is to read aloud to your children. And I brought a bunch of beautiful kids literature because I was a teacher. And, did this whole thing for the sisters. I'm thinking, I'm making this interesting. How about we develop language and we develop vocabulary and we take mind journeys and we're creating readers and, readers become successful and then they become thinkers. And, I could see this was going down. And in hindsight,
We're still talking about the
probably
Relief
something I
Society?
shouldn't have done.
Kim?
Yeah, yes, I was trying to spice up the homemaking meeting.
With
Okay.
reading?
So, yeah, I'm sick of crafts,
Well, who wouldn't be at this point?
and I think
Another doily, right? Like another
right.
fucking doily.
There was this thing with flower pots, painting
Enough with the
flower pots and
doilies.
stacking them into
Enough.
it's making animals out of flower pots. Jesus, oh heck. Anyway, so
Wow, that's two. Kim,
am
that's
out the-
two.
Sam, I know. So I'm at the Family History Center, and this was back in the days of microfiche. And I spent some time going through some microfiche, found my great-great-grandfather. I was beside myself with thrilled. And as I'm finishing up, I noticed this woman who's also doing some research. She and I get to talking, and she's a sister from a different ward. But she had come up to our Family History Center to do some research because we apparently had some microfiche she wanted or something. Well, anyway, we get to talking, and I found out that this woman was a handwriting expert, graphology. Okay. And
Okay.
I'm fascinated.
Does she
I
work for
start
the
asking,
FBI?
her questions. She was called as expert witness. I
Okay.
can't
Which usually
remember
means that you've
who
been an
she
expert
actually
in
worked
some.
for.
So she worked for some law enforcement agency. She must have, I would think.
Yes.
Did she tell you what it was?
Yeah. Or she was called, I can't remember. I think she was more of a consultant, and she was called in to court for verifying document signatures and handwriting, and we're talking about it, and I'm thinking, this is fascinating. I said, have you ever done any presentations, to groups? And she says, well, periodically. She says, I have some slides. And I'm like, oh, this. And I'm rubbing my hands together. I'm thinking, flower pot crafts, no more. No, we're
okay.
actually going to I'm going to get this woman to come to Relief Society to the homemaking meeting.
Suddenly the point comes into view.
We're going to have to, because she's going to do this presentation. She said she would be more than happy to. We'd have to get it on her calendar and to talk to the sisters and maybe show some samples, give some anecdotes. Maybe have this, I'm picturing, you can have everybody write something and then you can compare and maybe say something like, oh, look, you loop your loops this way. That means this. Or look, this doesn't match. So you can tell. You try to write her signature. See, I can tell it's a forgery, right? I'm beside myself.
So you bring this show into Relief Society?
Well, no, because I called Sister C.
Wait.
And I'm like,
Whoa.
Because I want to tell her.
We got all this build up for that?
I want to tell her. No, I call her because I want to tell her, look, I've met this graphologist, this handwriting expert, and I'm thinking I will invite her. She can come to the homemaking meeting, do a presentation. It would be really interesting. Maybe the elders would like to come, It would be a really cool,
good missionary opportunity.
Ward activity.
Yeah. So what did Sister Prickly say?
Oh my God, yes. Sister Prickly, I swear. Now, she was clutching her pearls. I could tell because, her voice was rather strained. She got me off the phone very quickly. Very quickly. I'm like, what the? And she's like, oh, sister. And she made some reference to I can't, something like she just couldn't believe what I was saying. And she got me off the phone really fast, and I'm thinking, what the heck? Not the next night, I am yanked back into the bishop's office. Released from my first council.
Well, that was easy.
From my
it didn't
calling.
even involve firecrackers in the job.
Yes. No, because apparently graphology or handwriting analysis is of Satan. It was of Satan. And she simply could not have me in her Relief Society presidency if I was embracing something.
There might
I bet you would have gone a lot further than that, wouldn't you, Kim?
Well,
how far would you have gone to get out of that calling? That's what I want to know. Were the banks in your neighborhood safe?
Oh, shoot. I should have called up the local Wiccans, and had them come in. But no, I really thought that this would be cool. I was so naive. And I'm staring at the bishop. I'm like, he says, if Sister C, believes this to be of Satan, I can't. He was just stumbling all over himself. And I looked at him, I said, so I said something like, I really don't think that being released is appropriate. I said, I feel, attacked. And he said,
Whoa,
I
whoa,
will
whoa,
never
whoa,
do
whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa.
I'll hang
Wait
it.
a second. Kim, you have just gotten handed what your heart's desire on a silver platter. And he says, I'm going to release you from the shit calling that you didn't want to take in the first place, but you only said okay because you felt obligated. And now you're objecting to being released?
It was the principle of the thing,
That's
RFM.
right.
It was
Okay,
the
this is not
principle
going
of
to get
it.
any better than this. I know.
Dang it.
We don't draw
Kim,
lines.
this was a
on
great story.
principles.
Thank you for calling in.
Take it easy, Kim.
Oh,
Thank
shoot.
you.
So
What's
Oh,
that?
I
yeah.
don't know. Is
Thank you,
graphology,
Kim.
is it of the devil?
I've never heard. I
Is
didn't
it
read
of
that
the
in Mormon.
devil?
I didn't read that in Mormon doctrine. I am going to speak to something you said, but I'm going to do it off
Is-
the arrow.
Kim, thank you for calling. That was a
Okay,
great story.
Take it
That was a
easy.
great story.
The brethren, if you really get to the heart of it, because she was talking about sort of females and males and how women feel in the church. The church makes everything good for white men. It has marginalized
I'm sorry, I'm still
everyone
back
who's.
on the story.
It's all right. They've marginalized everyone who's different than white men. They're afraid of what would happen if there was diversity among the decision makers. They sort of sense their own power. The religion is set up as to fear the power being something other than old white men. And then the religion takes on the theology. Not only is the hierarchy built that way, but then the theology minimizes anyone who's different. The LGBT segment, people of color, females, handicapped children, heaven forbid, at one moment in time. It's a weird thing that it doesn't want anyone. It doesn't want the diversity among the decision makers. They want that monopoly they really like.
Yep.
It was set up that way.
The boy in the bubble.
Yeah. But what would happen if women took over leadership in the church? Would things change for the better, or would we just end up with 15 Joyce Meyers, TV evangelists who, is like has $400 million?
Wow.
Would we end up with just female versions of unhealthy
Of
human
course.
beings in a power system,
Of course.
Yeah, it probably would.
Well, we're all of the same species and we all have generally the same weaknesses, and the
Yeah.
same strengths sometimes,
Yeah.
the glories and the tragedies of the human condition.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, I guess maybe a lot of people thinks it's women's turn to screw things up.
Yeah. And inevitably, in some cases, they would screw things up. Yeah. All right. Next call is
By
John.
the way, I kept this comment on the screen because I thought it was so funny. Katie
Witchcraft.
Ash said, witchcraft is still a craft.
Yeah. And I'll just say one more time. One
Kim?
second, caller.
What the hell?
Also, guys, men, just in the church, let them at least talk with their normal voices and let them share their own ideas. Like,
Yeah.
start there. Okay, go
One
ahead.
of the things that was really obvious with Kate on Wednesday was that we've got a hyper competent person who happens to be a woman, right?
Yeah.
Who's doing all this work, and she never sees the council, right? The committee.
Yeah.
Well, the committee never sees her either, unless they got some kind of monitoring device. But the main thing is that whoever the manager is talking to, if he makes an appearance in the committee, or whoever he's interfacing with the committee, is the one who takes the credit for all the work that Kate is doing.
Yep.
Yeah. Way it
Kim,
is.
you shocked me. I thought you were gone.
No, this is not Kim. This is what's the name, caller?
John.
John, how are you?
John, you sounded
Doing
like
good.
him. I would
Hey,
swear
I
you
wanted
did.
to first of all say that interview that you guys did last week with Kate was amazing, or this week was amazing and really super informative.
Yeah.
But as I was listening to her talk, it reminded me of something, and that was my dad was in the military, and we grew up all over the world. Every 3 years we moved. I lived in Germany, England, Philippines, all over the world. But I happened to live in England when I was, and I had the opportunity to go into East Germany before the wall came down.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was in the military, got special passes, blah, blah, blah. So we went there, and listening to Kate reminded me of the interaction with some of the East Germans. Not too many would talk to you, but when they would talk to you, it was very reserved, very guarded, and kind of looking over the shoulder if they ever, even if they mentioned something to you. And the way she talked, even though she was open and free of the church at this point,
Yes.
there were many times where she felt like she needed to be very guarded about what she said or who she said something about.
Yes,
And it
she
just reminded me of East Germany. And as I've deconstructed from the church, I find that more and more I see that in the church is they are very, very much watching certain people and keeping an eye on folks, and they don't mind bringing the hammer down on folks if they feel like they need to, but in a very sneaky beaky kind of way.
There was so much that was going on during that show, John. Thank you for that observation. And that's one of the aspects that was going on, was that she would continue to say that a lot, noticeably. And a lot of people commented on it. And there were some people who were saying, "Oh, come on, tell us," you know. But there are other people like you who look at it and say, this sounds exactly like somebody who's really in a situation, not pretending to be in a situation, but really being in a situation where they have to look over their shoulders to make sure they don't say things that they're not supposed to say because someone might come after them.
And who values the unhealthy reasons for saying more than you were supposed to say and causing hurt in the world. Like, she seemed to be sincerely concerned about saying too much in a way that wasn't even the things that the people in the audience would want to hear in terms of criticisms of the church. She wanted to stay shy of telling the story in a way that would hurt someone by presenting some piece of their information. Very credible. She comes across as having integrity and credibility.
Very much so. But she reminded me of people in the Eastern Bloc that felt like they needed to be a little bit reserved and concerned about how they said certain things and who they even talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, those people were scared, and
Yes.
they had good reason to be scared. And I feel like she was very genuine, and I felt like she was very open and honest. But there were some times where it felt like she really had to be careful.
This faith in 100 ways. Now, she may have obligations job-wise, and I think there's at least a little bit of that played into that. That she respected the agreements she made when she was working that job, and she was trying to honor those agreements after. But this thing from day one scares you into not speaking up. You know, the Rock in professional wrestling would say, know your role and shut your mouth. And the church in a million ways gives you that message. It is wrong to criticize leaders of the church, even if they're wrong. And then there's, which way do you face? There's the apostolic creed. Even by the time you get to the top, you're being reminded that your job is to be obedient, follow, and loyal to this thing. You are not to speak up when not spoken.
So,
Yeah,
John, thank you for that insight. Do you have anything else you wanted to throw into the mix?
No, I just want to say Uchtdorf's a good example of that, because they sure bitch slapped him when he stepped out of line, and he has been a tried and true soldier ever since.
Whatever the consequence is for getting out of line, it was threatened against him. If they sign in, if they do get the $1 million at the front, like Enzio Bushy said to Grant Palmer, if they do get the $1 million at the front and it's given as a loan, and they sign some sort of agreement that the loan is forgiven so long as they never, ruffle the feathers too much. And then when you ruffle the feathers too much, Hugh B. Brown being another example. He's the other person, by the way, who was in a first presidency. And when the prophet died, he was removed from that first presidency and put back into the Quorum of the 12. And they're the only two that I know of in recent history.
Other
over
than
the
for
last-
health reasons, yes.
yes, other than health reasons, over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 decades.
Yeah, it's a rare thing.
Yes.
Well, hey, thanks, guys. My wife and I love listening to you guys. You're great.
Oh, thank
We
you.
appreciate
Thank you.
everything you do.
Yeah.
Please give my best to the missus.
Take it easy.
We'll do.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Whatever.
I just want to throw this up there on the screen and let everybody know, just in case we got more eyes on this than are reflected up here in the numbers.
Mhm.
We got a great short coming out. YouTube, it's going to premiere right after this show. It'll be in 30 minutes, and it's a 4-minute deal. It's going to be a Hitler rant, and it's going to have to do with the moment that Hitler learns that Joseph Smith actually did practice polygamy. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
And I just put it in the live chat, so I just put that up on the screen. That
Oh,
is
great.
address for it. It's in the synopsis for this stream in YouTube, and it's also pinned to the top of the live comments. No, not the live comments. Yeah, the live comments. And then when the show is over, I will pin it down in the synopsis. Actually, I already did that. It's already pinned below. I'll post it in the comments below as well, and I'll pin it there. So it'll be in all 4 places.
Sounds good to me. You see, you're so competent. You've already done the things that you didn't know you'd done.
Yeah, they're in all the places. So check that out.
Usually, if I don't remember doing something, it's because I didn't do it.
Yeah. All right. Let me. Okay. Here might be a person by the name of Tim. Tim, is that the name?
Yes, it is.
Hey, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Bill.
I know that.
Hey, Alfam, what opera are you going to go see, Alfam?
Tim, how's Tricks in Bakersfield? You talking about opera? Opera?
Yeah.
I will tell you a
You said you were
secret.
going to the opera.
I will tell you a secret, but it's
Okay.
true. It's a true secret. Are you ready?
I'm
I have
ready.
never developed an appreciation for opera.
That's sad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Just like Pagliacci.
I've never even
Wait,
seen
what
an
did he
opera.
do? Did you see what I just did there, Tim?
Pagliacci.
Yes, I did.
I don't know what.
And you know how I know Pagliacci?
How?
The tears of a clown when there's no one around.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like Pagliacci did.
It's really sad to think of a clown crying.
I'm sorry, what?
It's really sad if you think about a clown crying.
Well, yeah, that's the whole deal.
That's sad.
It's even worse when the clown is under your bed at night and then you're looking under one side and it's creeping up the other side and it grabs you with its long arm and drags you under the bed. That's sad.
Even the sad face up here, but still the clown smile painted on. Kind of
Man.
a double, like a frown and a smile at the same time.
This was spoken by someone who was not scarred by poltergeist. I'm 22 freaking years old and I couldn't get to sleep for a week.
Carolyn, go into the light. Go into the light, Carolyn.
What
Did
a
you watch
movie.
part 2? Did you see part 2?
Yeah, I made the mistake.
In his holy temple.
That was so unscary. It's like, don't even try. Guys, don't. I know they want to try and make some money. I understand, but don't. Leave it alone.
What part stands out the most in that movie? Part 2.
I have no idea because I've erased it from my memory.
Is that where he drinks the worm? He drinks the worm in the tequila bottle.
No, that's Star Trek 2 with Chekhov going in the air.
No. That's no.
Botany Bay. Botany Bay.
All right. So Tim, sorry.
It's
It's okay.
It's Tim Rathbone.
Yeah, I know who it is. And that's why as soon as I said
I'm
Jim,
trying to see if I can make him laugh to death.
Right.
It'll be murder by long distance.
You probably
Really bad
could,
part is
Alfam.
I'm calling collect.
you were really humble, by the way, the other night at dinner, Tim. Tim and I had the chance to go to dinner during Thrive.
Oh.
And I was trying to tell people at the table, like, this guy's rubbed elbows with Dan Vogel and Brent Metcalf and sort of been in the game of trying to get the information out generations ago, and tried to share that with the table, and the table was sort of in awe, and Tim was being super humble and not taking credit for that. But we really do, people, John DeLynn said before, and I agree, we, the current folks sort of posting things and doing stuff, got here on the shoulders of others. Appreciate your desire to look for the truth and to seek for it, and the effect that you've had in sort of helping Mormon information get out.
Thank you.
Tim, guess what?
Yes.
I saw your name
What?
when I was Googling yesterday. I was getting ready for the show that I didn't end up recording this morning because I've already told the story about what happened. But I was doing some research on it. And what I'm researching is the subject about the whole chronology and the timing of how long it took Joseph Smith to dictate the Book of Mormon. And I came across a paper that had the name John Welch on top in big letters, and underneath it in really teeny tiny letters, it said, and Tim Rathbone.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
Actually, they were the same size letters. But yeah, I said, hey, it's Tim from a
Yep,
former
that's me.
life.
Do you remember what that paper was about?
It's a chronological order and everything that we could document of where Joseph was and what he was doing when he was translating the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, it's where it came down on the idea that 60 working days. I
Yeah,
think.
something like that.
Yeah.
I can send you a copy if you like, Bill.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up right now. I'm actually gonna put it up here on the screen.
Well,
Is this the one?
that version isn't as accurate as, I don't know which, the version I saw that Farms now sends out is not the same one that I wrote.
Yeah, I'm looking at Scripture Central, John Welch and Tim Rathbone. Is this an older version and they have access to the more modern version of your views, but they still want to share the old one? Is that what you're saying? And then no biggie if it's not.
This, yeah, that's the newer version.
This is the newer
A
version.
longer version.
Oh, a longer
Yeah.
version. Yeah, send it to me. You got my email. Send it to me. I'd
Okay.
love it.
I will. Yeah, that was the last thing
1992.
no, 96.
Well, this is 92. It's what it says on this.
Yeah.
I was just reading it.
86. I'm sorry, 86. 1986.
Oh, okay. So that was the
It's
original,
wrong.
and this is a reprint.
Is
Well, the
one last
reason
question.
why,
Oh,
here's
right.
the reason why, Tim. The reason why is because what they're citing is not the original publication. They're citing the anthology volume, Re-Exploring the Book of Mormon, the Farms Updates, which are collecting them together and publishing them, obviously, after they have been printed as the updates. Do you remember that series? They had like 3 volumes of those, Tim. So that's why. The original was 86, and they included this update in with the other updates in the volume published in 92.
Well,
And
that's
I
cool.
think we
that
can
it
all
carried
sleep well
over.
at night, understanding that now.
Yeah, it's neat that it carried over, which means it had enough meaning that the next time around they still wanted folks to gravitate towards this. So kudos to you for your scholarship. I imagine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I imagine. I'll have to take a look. Anyway, I'll just have to read it rather than guess at things. Let me be
Yes.
surprised.
And by the way, Tim, there's no way I can shut you down after the first caller. So you just say whatever you want to say.
Oh, well, you said nothing happens Tuesday night. You're forgetting about Tuesdays with Tim on Latter Daily Digest.
Thank you for reminding me. I did forget about that. Tuesdays with Tim on Latter Daily Digest.
Yeah.
We were just trying to play a game with Rebecca Biblioteca and make fun of.
I know.
No offense to Latter Daily Digest. We were just trying to
No.
poke a little bit, Rebecca.
No.
Hey, Tim, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it.
And also Saturday, next Saturday, Fathom Events is doing Fidelio on theaters nationwide from the net. So if you want to go see an opera, that's my favorite opera. So
What was it again?
I highly recommend it. Fidelio by
Oh,
Beethoven.
Fidelio? Is that an opera or an operetta? Isn't that about the mayor of New York?
It's a full-blown opera.
Is it about the mayor of New York?
No.
Okay, I'm just asking.
No.
I still didn't catch
It's at the net.
I still didn't catch the name of Palacio. What was it?
Fidelio.
Fidelio. His only opera.
Delio.
Bill is once again earning us our NC-17 rating. Thank you, Bill.
But I really want to thank you guys for Wednesday night. That was that's a landmark, I gotta say.
I agree. Thank you. And I only say
I
that
mean-
because I think that was all about Kim.
Yes, it was.
I said
It
Kim,
was.
I meant Kate.
Was
I'm trying to multitask.
See how
Damn
easy
it.
this is? Jim
I'm
and
trying to
Tim.
multitask and I can't do it. I'm trying to look something up.
Oh,
And I can't look down and find my home keys. And so I'm like trying to find them in the dark and not look like I'm doing this. So I said Kim instead of Kate. Sorry.
okay. But yeah, she, I when I was Elders Quorum president, I called that number once, even though I wasn't supposed to talk to somebody about the situation we had in the ward. And what I understand though is that it doesn't go straight to Kurt McConkie. It goes to this clearinghouse first, I guess, and then it goes to Kurt McConkie. What I understand.
What the?
man.
Hang on. Do we have shape shifting going on? There'll be none of that while we're live. Tim, we've talked about this before.
I just remote viewed a feline cat noise.
Bill has
That
promised
has to be
not to
Sheila
do his furry stuff when we're
Yeah.
on, and you have said no shape
Double
shifting.
thinking it. I'm reconsidering. Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much for the call.
Yeah, I just want to say it was. And how many people watching now? 36,000.
36,000.
It's crazy, huh?
Oh my gosh, it's insane! It's insane.
That, by the way, LDS
But
Church.
I remember when
That means some believers are watching it. LDS Church. Believers are watching it. We don't get to 35,000 with the show that we do unless it's something that gravitates sort of an outside viewership. So people sort of got to see all the things you do that are really creepy. Yeah. Anyway.
I've got to say something, by the way.
no kidding.
In my own defense, this is how the early onset begins, is that it's not Fidelio that's a musical about the mayor of New York.
Fidelio, that's right.
It's not Fidelio. It's Fiorello.
What she said.
LaGuardia.
He may be waiting for his own music. I'm not sure.
It was a great episode, Tim, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yeah, take it
Take
easy.
care.
Bye-bye.
Good night. And we got Colby on the line.
Yeah, he's down there. He wants to jump in. Kobe, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Excellent.
Great. What is that on the wall behind you?
That is actually a poster from the AJR concert from last summer in Boise. AJR is a band. Adam, Jack, Ryan, three brothers from New York. They just do really great kind of poppy music that they incorporate a lot of orchestral sounds. So it's really interesting. Had a great experience at their concert. We went live and we are actually such huge fans of their music that we paid for VIP tickets to play dodgeball with the band, which was pretty cool. So
That is really cool. And thank you for that information. I was actually talking about the large hairy spider.
that's just
He thinks
I'm
I'm
letting
not- he
my
thinks
hair
I'm
grow
kidding.
long.
This is the problem. When you make jokes all the time, you can't warn people about a fire
Yeah.
or a spider. They think you're joking. Imagine the hell it is to be in that position.
You could quit teasing so much.
It's your cross to bear, RFM.
I guess so. No, well. Anyway,
I just had one quick thought about the show on Wednesday, and I texted this to RFM, but I thought I'd share it with the audience if no one else has made this point. It was so interesting to hear, like you said, Bill, in detail, the creepy stuff the church does. But I had this thought that, especially when it comes to high-profile excommunications, right? Like John's, Kate Kelly's, yours, Bill, no offense. I think one of the things that's interesting is if the church just said, these are high-profile members of our community, they influence people in the church. So yeah, we coordinated with the local leadership and we made them aware of this issue.
of course we did.
That
Just
would
be
be
honest.
that would be a completely justifiable position to take. Like I think what they
Yes.
do is still creepy, but it's this moment where they lie about something they don't even have to lie about.
Their
And if
radar is so off that they can't help but make the mistake.
Can I
yeah,
tell you that if you go on in that interview and listen to it, it's all really good. The one that we played part of, the one from 2014 June, Doug Fabrizio interviewing church spokesperson Ali
Yeah.
Isom.
Yeah.
He comes to that question. Like, why is it a big deal? I believe, and I couldn't point to it, and this is kind of unusual for me, but I believe that the church believes that it is scripturally or doctrinally mandated that only local leaders can have to do with the stuff. If it isn't mandated, then it is because the higher ups want the deniable plausibility bill.
Yeah.
They want the
has to be
plausible
that, though.
deniability everyone else.
I'd say
They
it
want
has
them
to
to be
be.
they're
Oh, I'm
their
sorry.
buffer. The
I
local
was going to
leaders are
say,
their buffer.
I think it has to be the latter, though, RFM, because the scriptures literally dictate how a disciplinary court is to be
Yeah.
held.
That's
And
what I
like
was gonna say.
because of Bill, they changed the rules. So I think they
They have no
believe.
problem going against
Yeah.
the Doctrine and Covenants. They have no problem doing that. They've already established that. It's got to be the other one. They've already showed their cards. It's got to be the other one. It's a strange thing because they could just come out and go, look, our bishops take care of things at the ward level. They may not be clued in to people who are on social media. That's not their sphere of influence where they're paying attention. Their ears are to the ground. We've got our bishops busy serving the Lord in ways that really are at the ward level. And the only way that this information gets to those bishops is if we were to reach out to them. And so we do in these instances make an exception because the issue is sort of outside the sphere of the location of the church. And they could explain it that way, and everybody would go, that makes sense. But they are so afraid of what they do on their side and the way in which their motivations actually run that they don't even see that would be the easiest way out and give them almost no pushback. They would be able to get off much easier.
It just shows, I think, the comfortability that mindset, because I guarantee if you sat Elder Holland down and you asked him questions like this, he doesn't think of himself as a liar. Like, they don't think of themselves that way. And I think that's the thing that's so interesting to me, is it shows at an institutional level that to live in that world, you have to be so comfortable with dishonesty that it's like doublethink, like Orwell's idea of doublethink. You become so comfortable with believing contradictory things, you don't even think of it as lying. That's just the way that they've always done things. So they're not involved, and so they have to deny it even when the evidence wouldn't even hurt them. That's the thing that's so odd about stuff like this.
Yeah, because you would think, just like the feds, when they have jurisdiction, if you cross state lines, I mean, it would seem obvious that the area authority would have jurisdiction if someone's influence for bad crosses state lines, because now it's outside the jurisdiction of just one stake president, and so on. And somebody who's as popular as Bill Reel, he is generally offensive to the church. And so the general authorities, it makes sense they would step in and take care of it, but they never do that. They never want to do the wet work themselves. They will pay they won't pay them, but they'll have their hirelings. They'll have their non-hirelings do it for them.
And there may be a psychological benefit to local bishops and stake presidents feeling as though discipline is really their charge. And so there may be, in terms of like a high demand religion and the ways in which you manipulate people to get buy-in from leaders who see, at least in part, how the sausage is made, is to help them feel important and allow them to be over top of disciplinary courts and influencing whether one stays in the church or not, the only true and living church with the Lord is well pleased, might psychologically be a great mechanism to get people to believe stronger.
Yeah. And what you shared there, Bill, reminds me, and sorry, then I'll go. I don't want to hold up the show, but what you said reminded me that, there are moments when you're in the church, and I think especially as a man, the church gives more opportunities for this for men, where, say you taught like a really good Sunday school lesson, or Bill, when you were a bishop, you gave a really heartfelt testimony, or you did something that really brought your ward together. You get moments where there's like a feedback loop of positive feedback
Mm.
that you get from your community, and you feel good because you are generally sometimes doing good things for other people.
I
But
feel
like,
elevation emotion up here. Yes.
yeah, but no
Mhm.
one's going to tell me too that part of that isn't people telling you how much they appreciate your insight, and it gives you this validation because there is no man behind the curtain. If people start telling you, oh, your lesson was so spiritual, oh, that prayer was so spiritual, it becomes this self-reinforcing feedback loop of conjuring this experience together. And I think that's the thing that's so interesting to me. Even when you go clear back into church history, like the vision between Sidney and Joseph, DNC 76 going back and forth, you literally see it. Like, you see the things we understand about our psychology today in church history as a way that I can plausibly explain naturalistically how this stuff happened. And I don't have to make those people liars. They can actually have had legitimate experiences the same way I had legitimate experiences by thinking I was, by just creating this cycle myself. Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate it, Kobe. I want to just show that there's a comment here. I'll just speak to this. Now we know Bill was drunk on power when he was a bishop. So first off, I was pushing back against the church while a sitting bishop. What draws my attention to this narrative here is uh, our former bishop. He was in the stake presidency at the time that I was the bishop. He didn't do any home teaching at all. I could see his stats. I saw that he was a 0% home teacher. His son was his home teaching companion. His son had spoken about how his dad never does his home teaching, and the data says the same thing. We would go to leadership meetings, and this member of the stake presidency would hound all the men that were there in this priesthood leadership session, telling them how much they needed to do their home teaching. And I smirked. And when the meeting was over, because I was smirked and I looked over at my counselor, and I said, I can't believe that guy just gave everyone in this room shit. And I didn't use that language, obviously, at the time, but gave everybody in this room flack for saying, like, that not doing their home. He's not doing his home. And he's like, I know, because we're the bishopric. We know what the stats are. He comes up to me after the meeting's over and he says, I saw you. You were smirking. You were laughing. And I bet I know why it was. And he goes, it was because I haven't done any home teaching. And then he proceeded to preach to me and tell me how he's the one in the stake who has authority, and it's his responsibility to teach these men about the responsibilities of home teaching, and it's not my job to judge him for the way in which he does it. And I thought, honestly, it was one of these magic light bulb moments that happens in our deconstruction process. I thought to myself, oh, like, that's the kind of person that does really well. That's how they think, and they get promoted, and the spirit of discernment doesn't work, and maybe there's even more unhealthy people than him. And I thought, this church doesn't really work by revelation. It works by something else. And I watched that man serve in leadership his entire adulthood, and he would walk into a meeting would happen, and the meeting would be over, and all the adults are putting the chairs away like we Mormons do. And I never once saw him put more than a chair or two away. All the rest of us are back and forth, chairs at a time. He was getting by on his ass kissery. Yeah. It was and his tithing paying for sure. And that's what he got by on. Treat the ones above you great, ones below you, who cares?
By the way, I just had an idea. And that was, don't anybody go anywhere, because I think we can watch this all together when it premieres in about 6 minutes. That new video, 4 minutes of it, I think is really fun.
We could watch it together. We could play it.
I've got it right here. You look down below. See?
Yeah, I see.
Does that work?
Yeah. Other than we can't play this. Well, you could play this. Can't play the sound to it.
I can't play the sound to it?
Everybody could watch it together, and then we could come back and talk about it for a few minutes for sure.
But without sound?
If we play it on our stream, our stream is going to have an issue.
Okay.
It can exist, but it can't exist. Yeah, it can't exist the way we do things.
Boy, this sounds so science fiction-y.
Well, we monetize our channel, right? So we show like Google ads and stuff. And the moment you show ads, if you play something, then you get into trouble because you're monetizing a copyrighted video. You can have a non-monetized thing, so people can watch it and then they would have to come back, essentially. But I can do it.
No, that's okay. It's okay. Everybody, we'll just go your separate ways. But cue it up because it's about ready to start. I thought
Yeah,
I finally
please.
had a way that we could watch it together, and it
The
didn't
sound
work.
alone would do it. The video would do it. Yeah, we could certainly watch it. It would affect how we do things. That's all.
Well, I don't want it to affect how we do things.
Yeah, well, I sometimes feel like you do. You don't mind.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Actually, I just sit here
Well,
and I smile and I nod.
It's the ability to show ads on a video, and over the course of hundreds and hundreds of videos, it puts a little bit more money into the entity to be able to allow us to do what we do. And so if we show things that we can't in a bunch of videos, then we can't monetize them. So then we're left with one part of the income stream that pays what we do, salaries included, is
But it is our video.
it is. Oh, no, you're no, that's not the issue. The issue is that you're borrowing the video footage and sound of a movie. It's your video. You put the captions on, but you didn't fucking produce and direct the movie, RFM.
Well, everybody's doing it.
Yes, but I know for a fact you can put it on, but you cannot have it be monetized. All right, so
Okay, so that's the issue.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
that's making sense to me now.
you're not actually playing your video. You're
No,
playing a video that you
I'm
edited. And
playing
made
a
for video.
version of this that's so much better than the movie ever could have dreamt of being.
It's an Oscar for sure. But
And
we
please,
can't play
somebody out there, do your duty and forward this to Michelle Stone. Okay, she's gonna love it. I don't know if she figures in the movie. We have brief cameos from Kwaku, from Carden, and Jacob Hansen.
And it does start at 9:30. It premieres, but there is a 2-minute window of where it does the countdown.
We got a
And
2-minute countdown on a 4-minute movie.
We do, only because people would be leaving the show to go see it, and if we got out of here
Oh,
just
yeah,
a touch
yeah.
late, I wouldn't want people to miss it. That was all.
Okay, rushing out of the opera into the ballet.
Yeah, and so I'll put the link once again into the live chat if folks want to watch that. I think it's funny. I think it's well done. You did a great job, RFM.
The premiere, Kelly, it's 4 minutes. It's 4 minutes. Not only, not only should you watch this, you can't not watch this.
All right, Kobe, I'm going to let you go. We got one more phone call. We're going to try to get in
Great.
really quick. So
Thanks,
take
guys.
it easy, my friend. Thank you.
Bye-bye. You
You-
can't not watch
You
this.
said it's my movie. I'm like, no, this shit, it ain't your movie.
I
It's
feel kind of
yours.
possessive of it now. I do. I feel like this is my big chance.
Action. All right. So here's our last call of the night. Michael, I've got 2.5 minutes. Make it good, my friend. You're on Mormonism After Dark with RFM and myself, Bill Reel. What's on your mind?
Bring us home.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for taking my call, you guys. I'm a lifetime member of the church, although I've recently officially left the church. But I just wonder, from your understanding, from a faithful point of view, what is the point of the new name that you receive in the temple? I don't know that I've ever had it explained to me what that, I mean, do you model your life after the name of the person that you got, or what is that? So that's my question. Thank you.
I'll let you answer. I want to say something else about that, but I'll let you answer this question.
I'm looking at the time, and I'm going to say, because I actually have given some thought to this and written some on it.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. Traditionally, historically, mythically, to know a person's name is to have power over them. This was taken into Hebrew culture as it's manifest in several stories in the Old Testament, also kind of in the New as well. But like the Old Testament, when the angel appears to, who is it going to be? Samson's parents, I think. And they ask his name. He says, I'm not telling you my name. You know, who are you to ask my name? There's always the reluctance about the name, frequently, I should say, in the Hebrew ancient old scriptures, the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures. And I have thought and hypothesized that the reason you get a new name in the temple is a name that only you and God know. And you're not to reveal it anywhere else because Satan can't hear it in the temple. So that is a name by which God has power over you that Satan cannot have.
Yeah. And I'll add to that something very different. The David Alexander that we've done an episode on, who is a Mormon convert. Remember, he went by the name of David DeRouche. High demand fundamentalist religions often, not always, but often give the members of their group new names. And it is to the same degree that RFM said, to some degree, getting a new name increases your loyalty and buy-in to the system and the tribe. And so many high demand fundamentalist religions do that. And so there you have sort of a like an insider sort of point of view and an outsider sort of point of view from that. Anyway,
Matt Karoma says, but Satan is the main character in the temple movie. Yes, but he's not allowed into the dressing room, not in that little place with the curtains, right?
Yeah.
Oh, are we starting?
No, it starts in 2 minutes. So if I'm going to let you go, Michael, I hope that
This
answers
is so
your question.
exciting. Can you even hear it? Can you hear it? It's in my ears.
I don't hear it because you have to put it on the stage. But if you don't, I don't want to put it on the
Here,
stage.
I'm going to remove that. Here,
Unless
look.
you really want to put it on the stage, and then you can.
No, I'm just putting this thing on the stage. Everybody go see it. We're not going to put anything of the film on it, okay?
All right.
It's starting.
It's getting ready.
Everybody.
Yeah, put that up. That's great. There it is. I'll mute it for a second. So excellent. So that does come up soon in less than about a minute and a half. So folks,
All right,
please check it out.
everybody, I'm really excited. I think this is going to get me another Brody. So
I love
please
it.
nominate.
Remember this when November comes around.
I hope that you like it.
Yeah.
And if somebody who knows Michelle, send it to her because I want her to see this. I think she'll like it.
Yeah,
Okay. Good night, everybody. Join
yeah,
us next
please
week.
support
Enjoy
the
the show.
Like it, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.